I gotta say that sometimes you go to the theaters and you get something unexpected. And that's exactly what happened tonight because the First Omen ended up being pretty good.
You don't have to be afraid. This child is his way.
Now, as you can see from small clips I just put in from the trailer, I've seen this trailer for almost 2, 3, 4, almost 5 months straight, and they haven't ever really released a second trailer for me to see. So when I paired that trailer with no screenings and nobody giving reviews of this up until the day it's released, I thought this was going to be your classic prequel horror movie that wasn't good. And I couldn't be more wrong about that. Now, there's a few caveats I'll say in the front. The first Omen is not going to be your jump scare type horror. I could probably count jump scares on my hand. So if those are type of movies you either like or want to avoid, know that going in. But this movie tells this story based in the early 70s of kind of the prequel to The Omen. And it's really dominated not just by, I think, great atmospheric horror that you get throughout, especially in the second and third acts, but some amazing performances throughout. And I think for some people, you're going to be introduced to a new actress that I think is having, who this very well could be her like Anya Taylor-Joy's witch breaking out role in horror itself. And I can compare this a lot to The Witch when you get that atmospheric horror, when you get more of the high art type horror. And I'm talking about our main character of Margaret, played by Nell Tiger-Free. I don't know who Nell Tiger-Free is before seeing this movie, but her role as Margaret was absolutely outstanding. And the different ranges of emotions she brings to this character of Margaret really holds up, sustains, and thrives this whole entire film in a way that I was not expecting. This is a type of performance I would say if this movie had came out in November, December per se, I mean, I'm not going to forget about it, but if it came out in the right time of the year, I think it would be worthy of discussions of a nomination for Best Actress. Winning, would it actually get nominated as a lock? Probably not. But I think she nails so many different tones here, especially in the third act of the movie when things go awry in your classic horror type film, your classic, atmospheric demon, length film. I think Nell Tiger-Free does amazing work, and I believed her as a character the whole way through. And other people who are in here really good are Ralph Innocent and Bill Nighy. They both play two pretty solid characters. But Sonia Braga, again, another person I didn't know who plays one of the head nuns at this orphanage, just knocks it out of the park as Sylvia. And I loved her character throughout. Again, so much of this movie is just giving what I would say is a very good story overall. One thing I will say is Charles Dance is in the trailer, and that's pretty much how much he's in the movie. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan and you wanted to see Tywin Lannister act and be in a movie, this isn't it. He isn't in it for anything more than just the opening scene. But outside of that, the First Omen delivers. I think for me, I was worried for a few things because I heard there wasn't that many jump scares. But I heard this was a gory movie, and I'm somebody who is bad with jump scares, and I'm even worse with gore. How I made it through Evil Dead Rise last year? I don't know, but I really did like that movie too. And I think this movie coming around the same time is like, what is it about April horror movies that just deliver like high quality stories, high quality atmosphere, high quality acting? Because we just got them back to back years. So I was definitely in the theater doing my normal, like, is it happening? Is it not happening? And I have to say, outside of a couple different scenes per se, and even those scenes, there wasn't as much gore as I thought, and the jump scares I think are there, and they're perfectly fine. I think what thrives about this movie is the storytelling and the lead character of Margaret, and that portrayal from Nell Tiger-Free. The one downside I'll say about this movie is the fact that it is a prequel to the classic 1971 film The Omen, So you kind of know how this movie is going to end per se when you get to a certain point in the plot. And I do think the movie, as predictability wise, is extremely predictable, and you kind of know beat for beat what's happening throughout the movie. And when they present something as a twist, you're like, was that supposed to be a twist? Because like you made that obvious since scene two of the movie, but that doesn't really take too much away from it. I gotta say, this is one I would recommend seeing in theaters. It's gonna get a low platinum rating from me, but again, for a movie I was almost thinking about avoiding because the trailers look bad and there wasn't any talk about it, any like screenings about it. There wasn't any Rotten Tomatoes score being given until the day of. I was like, you know what, this might be a horror movie I avoid, but then I saw that 80% Rotten Tomatoes score, which is pretty high for horror. So I was like, you know what? We'll see Monkey Man Thursday. We'll see the First Omen Friday. And we have two great movies in the theaters, and I can't recommend them both enough. I think they're both movie-worthy theaters. And the First Omen here, if you're a fan of the original Omen movie, you'll probably really like this movie as well. Again, it's a prequel, and I think that hurts a little bit with the story. If they took the same type of atmospheric feel and a similar type of story, and you didn't know where it was going, I think this would have been an amazing movie. But I still think this is a very good, very great movie, and I can't recommend it enough. But are you a fan of horror movies? Have you seen The First Omen? Tell me your thoughts down below. Are you as big as baby as I am? Because I look through the holes in the hats to see what's happening. Like I'm a big baby. I am. I watch these horror movies for you guys, but after movies like Night Swim, after a movie like uh, Imaginary. We've had a couple good horror movies. I think this one is very similar to Immaculate, but this is that type of story on a lot better of an acting scale. In some ways, Immaculate is very happy to be out ahead of this movie by a couple weeks. And then Late Night with the Devil is another great horror movie. So, as much as I hate horror in terms of it's just I'm just it's not my thing. I watch them, and we've had a few good ones here lately. And the best I think so far is The First Omen. So check it out in theaters if you want. But I will see you later on, and be ready for my next movie review whenever that comes. Until then, try to stay awake at night.